At Healthcare Partners Medical Group, our mission is to provide the highest quality of healthcare to each and every patient. With 5 locations in Pahrump, we are local doctors you know and trust. We want to thank you for choosing us. Quality care starts here.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
Welcome to News 46's Week in Review, your #1 source for local news. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. One man is dead and one man is in jail following a domestic dispute early last Thursday morning on Benson Street, just off Irene. Well, approximately 1:30 in the morning, there was a shooting here on this quiet little cul-de-sac on Benson Street. According to the Nye County Sheriff's Office press release, Daniel Robbins, the father, shot a 21-year-old boyfriend of one of his daughters in the head when he was sitting in his driveway in the car. We're going to speak to Detective David Berukowitz on scene here this morning.
The Nye County Sheriff's Office was called here in relation to a dispute that ended in a homicide. We're just in the preliminary stages of the investigation. We have one individual who's dead, and we're working on processing the scene right now.
Is it a domestic dispute?
It's some sort of family-related dispute. We're not quite sure of all the relations, and that's what we're working on right now.
And I see that we have a crime scene unit truck on scene as well, and a lot of detectives.
Yes, we have our entire detectives division is out here. Obviously, we're being assisted by patrol and our auxiliary units. As in any homicide, there's a lot of evidence and leads to follow, and so we need all the manpower that we can to handle that scene.
Do we know how many people are involved?
Several people involved. We only have one dead, like I told you, and we're simply trying to identify who was actually involved and who was simply here.
And is the person that's deceased a resident of the home that we're reporting on?
He is not a resident.
And according to a Nye County Sheriff's Office press release, 46-year-old Daniel Robbins of Pahrump has been taken into custody. Approximately 1:32 this morning, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies were dispatched to 940 Benson Circle in Pahrump for a report of a shooting. Upon arriving, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies located Christopher Mundy, deceased with a bullet wound to his head. An unnamed 14-year-old juvenile, a family friend to the victim, was in the vehicle with Mundy. He had been struck with the bullet as well and had an injury to his elbow. He was transported to Desert View Hospital and subsequently transported to University Medical Center, where he is in stable condition and undergoing treatment. An investigation identified that Daniel Robbins' daughter, Jennifer, had a dating relationship with the victim, Christopher Mundy. Early in the evening, his daughter, Jennifer, was arrested at that residence for a domestic dispute involving a sibling. After her arrest, she had sent Christopher Mundy to the residence to retrieve her personal items. Prior to going to the residence, Christopher Mundy had several Facebook conversations with his girlfriend's parents during which he was threatened. Christopher Mundy arrived at 940 Benson Circle to pick up his girlfriend Jennifer's property and was told to leave by Daniel Robbins and his wife Kathy. Daniel Robbins fired a round into the front of the vehicle driven by Christopher Mundy. Daniel Robbins then approached the vehicle, put the gun to Mundy's head, according to the press release, and shot and killed him. The weapon used is apparently a 9mm semi-automatic. According to Christopher and Jennifer's Facebook, Christopher was employed at Henderson Health and Rehab, and Jennifer was employed at Pahrump Health and Rehab. Once again, Daniel Robbins, the father, is being held in the Nye County Detention Center on no bail. This is Deanna O'Donnell on Benson Street for News 46. A 14-year-old Joseph Michael Whitney and a 15-year-old Raymond Christine Whitney were in the Justice of the Peace Kent Jasperson's courtroom last Tuesday for their preliminary hearing. Testimony was heard regarding the horrific attack that the two boys are being accused of. According to the district attorney, both boys allegedly tried to kill their adoptive father, Troy Whitney. The attack is said to have been set off when the father slapped one of the boys in the face. Reports state that Raymond Whitney choked his father from behind, while his brother, Joseph, struck him and told their father to prepare to die. We're here at the Nye County Courthouse at the Ian Deutsch Government Complex, where yesterday there was a pre-trial hearing for two of the Whitney boys who are 14 and approximately 16 years old. They are being held in the Nye County Detention Center for the attempted murder of their adopted father, Troy Whitney. Testimony yesterday revealed that both of the boys kicked and hit their adopted father about the face and head and tied him to a chair, choking him and telling him to prepare to die. Since then, Troy Whitney can no longer work, actually breaking the bone underneath his eye area, has mesh behind his eye to keep his eye in place. He has vision problems and permanent damage because of this assault. Both of the boys are being tried as adults. The mother testified yesterday that when this was happening, she actually believed that she was watching her husband get murdered and taking his last breath. We're going to speak to Nye County District Attorney Kurt Vitto.
Yes, I got the name files right here. Joseph and Raymond Whitney. We had the preliminary hearing yesterday. At the close of the evidence, the court bound both defendants up on all charges, 4 counts, attempt murder, battery by strangulation, which is a felony now in the state of Nevada, one of the new felonies, newer, battery with intent to kill, and battery causing substantial bodily harm. They were bound over to the 5th Judicial District Court, Department 1, which will be Her Honor, Judge Wonker, and they will be arraigned on September 19th at 9 a.m.
And so they're going to be tried as adults, or they're facing charges to be tried as adults? Or
There's provision in the law with certain offenses. A juvenile court has no jurisdiction over certain offenses. And if certain offenses are charged, those charges are not cognizable in the juvenile justice court system. They go immediately and are treated as adults and through the adult criminal justice system. Attempt murder is one of those charges. The statute also involves other related offenses arising out of those circumstances. So that's why we have the attempt murder, and that acts as an anchor, if you will, for the battery by strangulation, battery with intent to kill, and battery causing substantial bodily harm.
And these defendants are 14 and 16, is that right?
I think 14. I think the other young man is not quite 16. I think he'll be 16 next month. I think both parents love their adopted sons. This incident has happened, and now there's fallout, and everybody has to deal with it. The best people to ask about how they feel about their sons would obviously be them.
Do we have any history with this family as far as any kind of domestics?
Not that I know of off the top of my head, and not that I would comment on if I did.
And then there was other children in the home. There was other people at the home at the time. Is that true?
They both testified yesterday, and they have an adopted daughter as well, an 11-year-old. Yes. Justice Court set bail at $200,000 apiece for each of the young men, and that bail status remains intact.
And this trial will continue. It's going to be heard in Judge Kim Wonker's courtroom, and that'll be the first day of the trial for the Whitney boys. This is Deanna O'Donnell at the Nye County Courthouse for News 46. We take a glimpse inside a marijuana grow house as deputies in street crime units bust a sophisticated grower that has even built a tunnel to move between his residence and his grow room. One man was taken into custody in Lincoln, Nebraska for having over 30 pounds of marijuana on him. His ties came back to a residence here in Pahrump on Wilbur Street off of Blagg near Gamebird. Nye County Sheriff's deputies and street crime units were able to gain access to this home. The Nye County Sheriff's Department allowed our cameras into the large stick-built home on Wilbur Street off Blagg near Gamebird to see the bust shortly after they secured the scene. What deputies and detectives found is over 100 pounds of processed marijuana and hundreds of live plants in various stages of growth. Truckloads of evidence were hauled away by sheriff's deputies. Hazmat was called into the scene to clean up. Deputies displayed the evidence, which were stored in plastic containers and large bags. Upon approaching the house, the odor of marijuana was extremely strong. The homeowner, whose name has not been released at this point, has built an elaborate tunnel so that he could go from his residence safely into the grow room without neighbors watching. He also had an automatic gate and walls and fence slatting around the property as well for privacy. The man, who was captured in Lincoln, Nebraska for having approximately 30 pounds of marijuana on him, came back to a residence on Wilbur Street here in Pahrump. That's when deputies checked out the home and were able to locate the large-scale marijuana grow. Nye County Sheriff's deputies have filed charges against this one suspect. They are looking for a female suspect in connection to this grow house. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. 3 have been taken into custody following alleged assault with a deadly weapon.
On Saturday, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies and detectives were called to Maverick's gas station on the corner of Highway 160 and Homestead for a report of a person brandishing or pointing a gun at another person. Upon arrival, an investigation was conducted and the following was determined. 2 customers had stopped at one of the pumps and were fueling their car up when a second car pulled up behind them, occupied by Marcus Genry, age 26, and his girlfriend Tamara Long, age 28. The 2 parties became involved in a verbal altercation, which first resulted in Tamara Long allegedly hitting one of the other customers. Marcus Genry then allegedly brandished a handgun and waved it around in a threatening way, while apparently challenging the other customer to a fight. When deputies made contact with Genry, he did not have a gun in his possession and denied that he ever had one on him. When the store's video surveillance video footage was viewed, however, it was discovered that Genry handed a black handgun to someone else right after the altercation occurred and just before deputies arrived at the scene. The male who was handed the gun and subsequently left with it was later apprehended and identified as James Richardson, Genry's stepfather. The handgun was subsequently recovered from Richardson's home, pending further investigation. During the investigation, it was further determined that both Genry and Long were under the influence of alcohol, and that Long had in fact driven a vehicle to Mavericks just before the altercation happened. Marcus Genry, Tamara Long, and James Richardson were subsequently arrested and booked at Nye County Sheriff's Office detention, where they were being held in lieu of bail in the respective amounts of $7,548, $1,274, and $5,000. They are facing charges of drawing a deadly weapon in a threatening manner, battery, accessory to a crime, amongst other charges. This is Zach Fuentes for News 46.
An employee was injured last Tuesday night during an explosion at AmeriGas on Charleston Park. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene. Fire crews cast their own safety aside and battled the blaze. They successfully diverted a possible secondary propane explosion that had the potential to cause substantial damage to life and property. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue responded to an explosion at AmeriGas last night on West Charleston Park, up actually near KPVM. There was an evacuation in order, and truly a tragedy was diverted last night thanks to our heroes. We're going to speak to Fire Chief Scott Lewis.
We had a report of an explosion, a burn victim, and upon arrival we found that we did in fact have an incident that one of the employees sustained a pretty significant burn injury, and our crews, upon their investigation, found a heavy fire condition at the rear of the building in the area of the loading dock. It's estimated it was between 500 and 1,000 20-pound vessels with varied amounts of propane within. A number of them were well involved in fire. It had extended to the structure. The sprinkler system had activated, but was not controlling or minimizing the size of the fire. I can't tell you enough how great a job the crews did last night. They risked a lot, and they put a master stream in service, a unmanned monitor, a ground monitor, and some additional hand lines, and they controlled that fire within a relatively short period of time with minimal structural damage to the building. However, there was a number of different exposures on the property, and again, just an extraordinary job, and we truly averted a disaster last evening.
Do we know what actually caught fire at this point?
Right now, the fire's under investigation. The Deputy State Fire Marshal, as well as another group of entities, including Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue, are up there investigating and going through every possible scenario that could have sparked the ignition. We believe it was fueled by the propane vapors. We're now looking for an arcing source or open flame, something along those lines.
Was it in the lines or was it in these containers?
It appears that it was in the area of the containers. However, the lines feeding the distribution system to different areas of the facility were in jeopardy.
We have 2 large tanks on that property, along with all those individual tanks there as well. How far did it extend?
It didn't get that far, only because crews activated all the necessary emergency shut-off valves that supplied to different areas of the facility, and we also supplemented the what's called the fire department connection on the building for the support of the sprinkler system. So everything was done in a way to prevent that migration of a problem.
And I was hearing last night that you guys were shutting off the main valves to those large tanks. Is that what was going on?
Yeah, our concern was that it was going to start backfeeding through the system and eventually make its way to the larger vessels, but that never happened, and it truly didn't become a real issue. There were a lot of concerns, obviously, but our bigger challenge was the number of smaller vessels that were involved in fire. As at any given time, obviously, they can have a devastating effect on the fire grounds. But everything went well, and there was some evacuations of the immediate area, but there was no extension of that fire past the building of origin, so everything was in good shape.
But the homes were evacuated around that area. The employee that was injured, it was an employee, right?
Yes, it was an employee, and that person was taken to the hospital and evaluated for their burns.
And will we be having an occupational health and safety inspection and checking out why this happened? And the business is closed right now, right?
It is closed pending the outcome of the investigation. As far as any third-party investigators coming in, that really would be in their purview as far as the OSHA and such. From our perspective, we're going to concentrate on the origin and cause of the fire and determine what needs to be done, if anything, to prevent this from happening again.
And then the storage of the containers that are up there right now, since it's not going to be open, that's going to be a concern, right?
Almost all the containers, except the two large vessels, contain minimal amounts of propane that are coming in for refurbishment. Now, there were some that were filled up and ready to go back out into distribution, but the majority of them, the problem is in their various states of repair. Some are in very poor condition, and you don't know exactly how much product may be in each vessel. And a number of those valves were coming to the point where they were releasing the product within the fire. We'll keep you abreast of the outcome of the investigation, and I just want to thank you and thank everyone last night who helped, including the sheriff's office, with evacuations and such. We operated as safely as possible, and the outcome shows that.
We won't know when this business will be back open, because I know there's a bunch of employees that aren't going to work now.
Yeah, I don't know how long it'll be closed. It depends on, I guess, the outcome of the investigations and whether any third party need to come in and complete an investigation as well.
We want to thank Fire Chief Scott Lewis, all the firefighters and paramedics who responded to this fire last night, as well as the Nye County Sheriff's deputies who helped with evacuation and keeping a control on the traffic in that area. Of course, they do this job every day, and we appreciate them so much. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. A single vehicle rollover in the early morning last Saturday on Calvada sent one man to the hospital. A single vehicle rollover early Saturday morning just after 12:30 in the Calvada I required Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and Nye County Sheriff's deputies to respond to the scene. Originally reported that the driver and only occupant had been ejected from the vehicle, which sustained heavy impact and rested on its side. Witnesses later reported that the man, who has been identified as Pedro Gonzalez, extricated himself from the vehicle after impact. The vehicle had destroyed part of the curbing in the Calvada I and also took out the street sign before careening into the grass area of the I. Paramedics loaded the victim for transport. He was taken to Desert View Hospital to be treated for his injuries. Nye County Sheriff's deputies are investigating this accident, which they suspect may be alcohol related. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. And another single vehicle accident in the same area on Calvada had Mercier transport the driver to UMC Trauma Center in Las Vegas. Another single vehicle accident last night in the Calvada I. A female and only occupant sustained serious injury when she lost control of her compact car and appeared to have slid sideways into the large Calvada Professional Building sign just after 10:30 p.m. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and Nye County Sheriff's deputies arrived on scene and transported the injured woman, who was found lying in the back of a passerby's truck bed. Mercier was placed on standby at the landing pad on Calvada. The woman was then airlifted to UMC Trauma Center in Las Vegas, where a blood draw was ordered to ascertain if she was driving while intoxicated. Nye County Sheriff's deputies are investigating the cause of this accident. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Still more local news to come when News 46 returns.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
A couple has moved into town from Montana and wants to open a business here in Pahrump. The problem is they want to do it in a residential neighborhood. The neighbors are up in arms about what type of business is being proposed. Nye County Commissioner Gary Hollis is championing their cause.
They're trying to start a business. They're trying to get a CUP, conditional use permit, to have a kennel.
Commercial kennel.
Commercial kennel.
And this person just moved into town from Montana?
Yeah, a week ago Saturday they started moving all their stuff in.
And they're already operating right now, aren't they? You said that you saw something on the website about them and that they're already selling dogs from their home.
From what I understand, yes, it's on the website. Anybody can look. It's J&R Pattern Pups.
And right now there's no business license, there's no kennel permit, but they are looking to hopefully open a business in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, it's true. We know that they don't have a business license for sure because we checked with the town. We did that because the people within the 600-foot circle asked us to. They kind of like asked me and Kathy if we'd run with it because I guess we're about the youngest and whatever.
And the 600-foot circle is where people give their comments. They send out a letter saying that this person is asking for a conditional use permit and see what the neighbors think, right?
Yes, and you can go to the meeting, which we were invited to the meeting, and we all went, and not one of us said we'd like to have a kennel in our neighborhood.
And the neighbors are very passionate about why they don't want this. Tell me some of the reasons.
They don't want it because of the noise, because of the health issue, because of the smell, and they just don't want a commercial kennel in their residential area.
And this person right now has over 30-something dogs already in the home, but they have some plans of having them outside as well, and we don't know what the limit would be. Is there a limit, do you know?
I don't know if there's a limit. There's conditions on the conditional use permit that's approved by the planning board at the time.
And she also said that she's not going to be having traffic to her house because she's going to be doing what?
She's going to meet the people at designated locations to drop off the dogs. No one will come to her home to inspect the dog's residence before they buy the dog.
Have we had a chance to find out about her background and her kennel history or any of her history?
When we looked it up on the internet for the people within that circle, and we found that she had residence in Montana, and it looks like according to the internet, it looks like she's moved 4 times in Montana and set up business up there. And then her last resident in Montana brought her down here.
Oh, wow. So when are we going to have this up on the agenda?
It will be at the planning board meeting on September 14th at the Calvada I, and we would sure appreciate if anybody would show up who doesn't approve of a kennel in a neighborhood. We really would appreciate it if you show up in numbers. It would help our cause.
We spoke to Regional Planning Commission member Vicki Parker, who states that over the number of years that the RPC has seen a number of applications for kennels in neighborhoods, they have never had neighborhood support. Joyce Storto and Roger Jenkins have submitted a justification letter to Nye County regarding their plans for that kennel. They have applied for a conditional use permit to allow them to operate this facility. Roger admits that they are currently operating without a business license, a kennel permit, or a conditional use permit. If their applications gets approved by the Regional Planning Commission, those licenses may follow. The recommendation from Nye County is to approve their application. They have postponed the hearing until September 15th. Joyce and Roger's neighbors are not happy with their plans. The couple and their 31 dogs have moved here to Pahrump from their former home in Montana, where they had the same type of business. We caught up with the couple at their home. Mr. Jenkins spoke to us about the issues and why he thinks his neighbors are so upset about their business proposal.
A few blocks. Someone has 13 dogs and no one's ever did anything to them. But since we went to get the permit, like you're supposed to do,
they're just worried about having a business, I think, too, as well, right?
But see, we don't have the business. We raise the dogs in the house, but we do not sell the dogs out of our home. No one comes to our property. She's over here during the last meeting says she was worried about parvovirus. That's not an airborne product. And she said it was. I mean, all these people, and 90% of the people who are against it are worried about the dust. If you count the horses in 600 or 60 home radius, There's dozens and dozens and dozens of horses. And we wanted to move here to semi-retire, and the neighbors aren't the friendliest.
Nye County Commissioner Gary Hollis responds to the residents in his district that are upset about that dog breeding facility that has moved into the neighborhood. The owners of the home have applied for a Regional Planning Commission conditional use permit. They admit they are currently operating without that permit.
Yeah, I got some calls and they were very passionate about the reasons why. I've been out here, I don't know, 5 or 6 times now. And it's a commercial kennel on Vanovich and around Horn. It's on Sally Court. It's a really, really residential area. It's very peaceful here. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to keep it that way.
And we're looking at the Regional Planning Commission possibly approving this.
Well, planning approved it based upon the code. I'm not too sure that it's set in stone that the RPC is going to approve it. I don't know that yet. I have my guesses that it's not going to pass, but that's just me guessing.
I read some of the letters from some of the neighbors here, and they're very passionate about not wanting this in their neighborhood. There's so many reasons why. Once something like this passes, not only does it leave openings for other businesses and other things to go on in the neighborhood business-wise, but also you can't really control what happens with that breeding facility after that point, can you?
Absolutely not. They could put a privacy fence, and I couldn't see what's going on. And you know, my job is to protect the people that are here now. And there's 92% of the people in this neighborhood that don't want this kind of use here, and it's my job to make sure that they're happy. And I really think this is a wrong place, wrong time to have a commercial kennel in this vicinity.
Have you had a chance to talk to the homeowner over there?
I met them in the RPC meeting. You know, they haven't come to me, so I haven't really went out to them. It's up to them to come to me, not me to come to them.
When they originally bought the property here, which they've just moved in recently, were they under the belief that they could actually have a facility like this here?
I have no idea what they thought. I think that they got a good deal on a piece of property, and they put in for a conditional use permit. My thinking, if they're not going to obey the law now, what makes you think that they're going to obey the law in the future? They do not have a conditional use permit for the use that they have. They have 31 dogs there now. They don't have a conditional use permit, and they don't have a kennel permit. What makes me think that they're going to obey anything, any conditions that we put in the conditional use permit, when they won't obey the law now and they don't have a business license? So, you know, they're in violation of the law right now.
So is there anything that we can do about them being in violation of the law right now at this point?
Well, I don't know. I think that would be up to animal control and probably the RPC. It's under their control. The only reason I would get involved in this is if one side or the other appeals. And I'm sure that this is going to be appealed one way or the other to the Board of County Commissioners. And you can be assured that I will voice my opposition to it.
More with News 46's News in Review. Don't go anywhere.
Pahrumph's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
The over $3 million road construction project on Homestead and Highway 160 is underway. We spoke to Nye County Commissioner Butch Boraski and David Fanning from the Public Works Department about the progress.
Very much like what you see on SR 372.
And anything that you'd like to add?
Well, a lot of people are going to complain about the traffic lights worked so well for 3 years and there was never an accident or anything, but those traffic lights aren't going to work on 5 lanes. They were only designed for 2 lanes each way. So it's unfortunate, but they were temporaries. We knew that to begin with. The state loaned them out, and now they're taking them back. So when it's fully blown and built out, I think everybody will like this intersection. It'll be an improvement to what it is now, and hopefully we can keep the accident rates down at this corner and not have a serious accident here.
When are we looking at the date of completion for this?
Right now, this widening project on SR3, or 160 and Homestead and Winery is October 1. And then they're going to advance, and you're going to see periodic work performed on Homestead as they shift off of this. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to fall in line with NDOT, and NDOT has the 3R project, and the 3R project is actually a rotomill on the outside edges of where they did a slurry seal earlier in the year. And that's where this project then comes in. We have to be out of here so NDOT can pull in their contractor and complete their work. That's the reason for October 1.
And we're looking at sidewalks too as well right here?
We are. This side of the Maverick, as we're standing here today, will actually have a sidewalk back to the intersection. No sidewalks on down further. They'll actually terminate here. But then that'll bring the foot traffic down Homestead.
I know that one of the biggest life-saving things that we had is that little strip of pavement that we're seeing on some of the highway out here that's past the white line, so that if people do go over the white line, they're not dropping off the edge. It seems to have been saving lives to have that, to put a little barrier between the roadway and the dirt.
Kind of like a bike path, I guess, is what you're referring to. You know, and that I really can't comment on because that's really an NDOT area. They actually keep their statistics on that, and the HP also does too. But what we're going to do, what I can speak about, is actually on Homestead, we're going to do a detached bike path, which will be on the west side only, to actually make sure that we conform to, you know, the ADA, pedestrian, bicyclists, so on and so forth. So
that's going to be really, really great, because I know a lot of people do ride bikes around in our town, and it would be safe to get them a little bit off the roadway.
Well, anytime we can give them some more bike trails, they love it.
Yeah.
I'm in constant contact with one of the teachers down at the Rosemary Clark School, and he's really, really big on that. And, you know, if we had the money, we could have more, but unfortunately it's just not there.
A special dedication for Highway 160 to honor our nation's heroes was done last week. We met with Nye County Commissioner Butch Boraski and Town Board member Tom Waters.
Well, I started this quite some time ago, and then I brought it up recently, and Tom said, I want to help you. So we did a joint effort with a town member and a county member to approach NDOT. They agreed to put 2 signs up, and the good part is that we actually got 4.
Commissioner Boraski, it was his idea, and so he's the one that pushed the whole thing. I was glad to be on board with him, and to see the signs that are going to be from the county line south all the way up to 95 to say that this road is dedicated to United States veterans. That's something we really look forward to. It's 4 feet by 5 feet. Nice large signs, nobody can miss them.
There you go. Butch, who paid for this?
NDOT actually paid for everything, and I was amazed. I've been talking with NDOT for over a year and a half, trying to say, how do we get some signs on Highway 160 throughout Pahrump honoring our veterans? And I asked to duplicate what they had on Highway 95. Well, I found out we can't do that. And then they come up with a couple of slogans, but they really didn't sound right. So once I looked at the sign and I had another, the temporary one that they were showing us, I talked to Tom and we deleted some words, and it comes out to say what it says now. The way it was before, it was a little, I don't know, it just didn't have any tang to it.
That's right, that's correct.
It didn't, but I thank Tom for his service in the military and all of our veterans. Unfortunately, I'm not one myself. I wish I was, but they wouldn't take me. So that's water over the dam. We got to honor the people that go fight for us to keep our country free.
And in this town, we have a large population of veterans. Have you guys heard anything from them yet?
We haven't yet, but we're going to be briefing. Butch has already notified the VFW. I'll be notifying DAV, and we'll be notifying also the Veterans Advisory Board. So everybody in town should know. And from this announcement as well, everybody in town should know that we are supporting our veterans.
Will we have an official dedication ceremony?
Well, I think you're at it right now. As far as we're going to get, I don't know. I'll talk to the guys at the VFW, and Tom will talk to the guys at the DAV and see if they actually want to come out and have a ceremony, make it, it's up to them. The signs were for them. And, it's nice now that people can go by and see it, and it helps them remind them that, You know, you go up around Walker Lake and up in there, and they have more veteran signs on the highway than, I mean, they're about 10 feet apart. And we just had nothing here in Pahrump, and I just felt so left out that it just kept me aggravated enough to keep pushing and pushing. And I kept telling the guys at the VFW, I go to Sunday breakfast, and I kept thinking, so when are we going to get our signs? I go, you know, you're working with politicians, and it takes a long time. Unfortunately, you know, the state bureaucracy is huge, and they have other projects, but I think they set things aside for us and helped us out.
Thanks so much, and thanks for speaking with us, and what a wonderful dedication ceremony.
Well, it's always great talking to my favorite TV station, Channel 41, 46, and throughout Pahrump and Nye County, wherever you broadcast, and you are one of the best.
You are too. Thank you so much, guys.
You truly are. And again, this is for our veterans, and this is our dedication ceremony. As Butch said, if the veterans want to do another one, we can always do another one. But this would be the one to let everybody know how much we care about our veterans. And even though Butch says he's not a veteran, we always consider him one.
One of the items on the Board of County Commissioners' agendas this past week was a presentation by the Department of Energy. The presentation by the Department of Energy National Nuclear Security Site Office was to brief the Board of County Commissioners on its forthcoming draft site-wide environmental impact statement for the next 10 years.
Been updating their environmental impact statement as required under NEPA on a periodic basis. In the current iteration, they have asked Nye County to participate as a cooperating agency, and we've had a very good working relationship with them on this process, and would like to thank them for allowing us to be involved in this process.
Nye County Commissioner Gary Hollis also had a statement that he wanted to read regarding the application for water rights by Nye County.
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you as a cooperative agency. While I have some different views, you have included those views in your draft. However, presenting my views without action to recognize and mitigate past and present impacts is not enough. Not allowing Nye County access to water on the NNSS is a big deal to me. Our water right permits requests for water on the test site have been denied because of protests by federal agencies, including the DOE. And the fact that DOE will not allow access to water on the test site, DOE should closely coordinate all groundwater studies with our scientists and provide funding for Nye County to conduct our own groundwater science studies off the test site. The ongoing impact of denied access to the county is huge and has never been any compensation for the impact provided to the county. I understand that some water on the test site is contaminated. However, I believe that the vast majority of the water on the test site is perfectly safe for public use. My bottom line, DOE should seek the means to mitigate this specific impact. Our practical solutions might be to provide the county reasonable access to the sustainable clean water resources that exist on the test site, stop protesting our water right request. We, the county, myself, have supported DOE and the Department of Defense in the Cold War years, nuclear testing to protect this country from having a nuclear war in the future. We have supported DOE. It's time that DOE supports Nye County. I appreciate the work you have done and look forward to working with you to resolve our issues. I'll provide you with a more formal and detailed response in the future.
This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. And Valley Electric Association's Fill the Bucket Truck School Supply Drive surpassed last year's donations by 3 buckets for a grand total of 18. The drive was held last Saturday, where the community could donate much needed supplies at the 5 convenient locations around town.
Wonderful. It's overcast, so it's not too hot. We have lots of our ambassadors and employees showed out. We're in 5 locations, 4 active locations, and 1 kind of at Mountain Falls. It's not manned, but there's a bucket out there if somebody wants to put some supplies in there, and they already have.
Do you think that we're going to be able to collect and top last year's 15 buckets?
That's our goal. People shop at different locations. We're giving them options. They want to participate, so by having different options, we have the support. We have people out here saying, please do this. It makes them more aware, and I think people do want to participate.
So tell me a little bit about all the sponsors and all the help community support that you've had on this.
You know, I got to tell you, it was interesting. Gary Hollis's secretary called and said, we want to know about this. I sent them the details, and then she sent an email out to all the county employees. Commissioner Hollis just showed up at the dollar store with a pickup full of school supplies, and some were his personally that he was donating, and then from the Nye County employees. So we're very appreciative of that. Dr. Gunther also donated $200, and so did Dr. Batty.
That's wonderful. And so if people miss this today, when can they donate, and what's the cutoff date?
Monday we'd like to deliver these, but if they bring school supplies, I will make sure and get them out to the schools.
And they're being distributed within what area?
Within Valley Electric Service territory. We service Sandy Valley, Pahrump, Amargosa, Beatty, and Fish Lake Valley. The majority of the supplies do stay in Pahrump.
What kind of supplies are we looking for?
You know, it's interesting. Everything. Things you wouldn't think about. Tissues, paper towels, wipes, notebook paper, tablets, pencils, pens, erasers, anything that has to do with children and school education.
Even backpacks?
Backpacks, those are really nice.
Yeah. So for more information, can they call Valley Electric?
They can call and ask for the marketing department.
We got the totals now. Tell me, Rebecca.
We filled 18 buckets, and that included Smith's, Walmart, Albertsons, Dollar Plus, and Mountain Falls. A big thank you to everyone who participated, to all the citizens of our community, to all the businesses. We're very grateful. These kids need it. It's a wonderful event. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Karen Jackson and K9 Radio for helping out. She was live on air, wasn't she, all day long?
She was.
Yep, she was indeed, and really made a huge difference, I think, in the turnout of the people to donate these to this event.
Wonderful event. James, Desert View Hospital is going to be making a donation as well.
Desert View Hospital, Susan DeVille, our CEO, our employees were very proud to donate $500 to this very worthy cause. That way they find out what they have and what they still need, and utilize some of those funds to go out and shop and get some of the extra things that they need.
You know, I want to thank our ambassadors too. Every event we have, our ambassadors turn out in full force to be supportive. They do whatever we need them to do, and we're very grateful for that. And as you said, Karen Jackson from K9 is always there for us. I just I'm leaving people out because there's so many people that make this event successful. The employees, the ambassadors, the businesses, the citizens of our community, everybody. We also had 2 doctors who also donated $200 apiece. And we also had people in the community not only drop off school supplies, they actually dropped off cash. I think we had almost $2,000 in cash dropped off. That's huge.
It is huge. We just ran into Sharon Kalin and Stuart Smith and gave you $100 cash. So you guys are going to take this money and go shopping for school supplies.
That's right.
But don't forget, Deanna, it couldn't happen without your coverage as well. You take really good care of all of us, all the events that we all do, and we appreciate what you do as well.
We also want to add that Nye County Commissioner Gary Hollis and the Nye County employees generously donated half a truckload full of supplies. The commissioner would like to extend his deepest gratitude to all of the employees of Nye County for their generosity. Albert Kwan from Oja Japanese Steakhouse is proud with his latest health inspection. We spoke to the owner of our local restaurant who received the highest score in the state of Nevada.
You know, the regular inspection, the lady that came, and she broke her leg, and then we have a harder his boss come over and inspect us, and then I make him drop his jaw twice whilst the inspection. Okay, he couldn't find anything wrong, everything is good, and then he tried to get one deduct point for me. Is when he wear glove, and then touch the counter. He couldn't find any point off. So what happened, he deduct 3 points off from us is nothing, because he find broken thermostat in the refrigeration, and which you never check because the refrigeration outside already have a.
Because you have two thermostats, so you always use one of them, and then the other one was an additional thermostat.
Yeah, and also that is nothing. That's not a point that you can deduct, but he have to put in because he cannot give me 100%.
Yeah. So you got an amazing 97% out of 100 on your health inspection report, and this is exciting. #1 in the state of Nevada.
Yes, very exciting. It's very hard to get the point over 90% as every restaurant that operate because when you operate, time goes by, always find something. Yeah. See, when I surprise him is when he look under the refrigeration, with his flashlight. Yeah. When he sees so clean under the refrigerator, always oil or something under the sink or under anywhere in the kitchen. Yeah. He dropped his drawer. He said, "I'm going to eat here next time I come to Pahrump."
So this is amazing. The health inspectors impressed you, shocked him, and he was a stricter health inspector than normal. And he's recommending Oja, and as well, he's going to eat here.
Yes, he said next time he come to Pahrump, he going to eat here.
Wonderful. And of course, you guys have been open for how long?
1 year and 3 months already.
And you're going to keep this wonderful high-level standard of clean, healthy, wonderful food.
This is our #1 priority. Cleanliness is #1 for the restaurant and customer service. This is what we try to keep up every day.
What hours are we open here at Oja?
We open from 11 to 10.
Every single day?
Every day, except Thanksgiving.
Where are we located?
We locate at 20 South Highway 160, just next to Daily Cream.
And at Basin and Highway 160, and what's the phone number?
The phone number is 775-727-9888.
They opened their doors a month ago, providing a much-needed service here in Pahrump, specializing in children's dentistry with the option of general anesthesia to help their patients relax. They're a compassionate couple who found the need here in Pahrump for a children's dentistry. We're going to tell you all about this dental office right here on the corner of Dahlia and Basin, how you can make an appointment and what specialties they have to offer your children.
Yes, we just opened about a month ago. We saw that there was a tremendous need for children of Pahrump to receive services. And so we wanted to have a dental facility that was all their own. And we take most medical and dental insurances as well as Medicaid. So we're definitely here for the children who need it the most and who can't necessarily drive over to Las Vegas to receive those services.
Why is it important to have a specific children's dentistry?
Children are a special population. They require extra care, they require extra patience, and they need a fun environment. So we offer that. Everybody has a smile here. Dr. Delisle is very friendly with children. He's treated over 2,000 children, both awake and under anesthesia, and that's something that they do need from time to time to be able to keep still for the dental appointment.
And a little bit of, they might be a little afraid to be at the dentist, right?
Right, yeah, and that's what we do. We try to sedate, children, and we can, put those fears to sleep, and we can just go ahead and work with them better, and maybe they'll end up liking the dentist afterwards.
Exactly, that's the point, is to enjoy the dentist office, to look forward to it. What's some of the special services?
One thing that sets us apart from other dental offices is that we do offer sedation and general anesthesia. Dr. Delisle is an anesthesiologist dentist who works over in Las Vegas, and we have 2 other clinics over there. And we just saw that kids were coming all the way from Pahrump over there to receive our services because there was none in the area. Other dentists here treat children awake, and sometimes they use what's called a papoose board to hold them down. But what we do is we kind of see where the kids are at, and we meet their needs where they're at. So if they can't stay awake for the procedure, we recommend to parents to put them under general anesthesia so that they can get all of the dental work done in one appointment and not traumatize the child. And that's what kind of sets us apart.
And do you still treat adults here at this facility who have special needs?
If there are children whose parents have special needs, or if there's just special needs adults who are with group homes or who can't find a dentist that they can go to, we're willing to open our doors to them and just welcome them and be able to provide dental care for them.
And the phone number and location?
751-2184
at 1017 East Basin Avenue.
So make your appointment today for your child or adult with special needs. Call 751-2184. This is Deanna O'Donnell on the corner of Basin and Dahlia for News 46. Well, that's it for News 46's weekend review. Some of the events this weekend include Movies in the park, and it's the last one for this season, and the movie will be Cars, and it begins at dusk at Ian Deutsch Memorial Park. Pahrump Valley Speedway will be holding its last races at 8 p.m. On Saturday. They're going to move back to the 7 p.m. time slot, so bring your family for so much fun and entertainment there. And Pahrump Pride is all day long Saturday at the Saddle West Hotel. It starts at 11 a.m. and goes into the night, and we'll see you right back here on News 46 next week. I also want to wish a very special happy birthday to my mom, Susan Strain. Have a great weekend.